Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu and I'm back with another Digimon deck profile video. So today I'm going to be covering the English Special Booster 1.0 version of Gallantmon Red, and this is definitely looking to be a pretty decent deck out of the gates for 1.0. So starting off with the Digitamas, I'm running one copy of Yokomon because it's just the 5th Digitama of the deck. That's really the only reason. And then the main Digitama of the deck is going to be 4 copies of Koromon. So Koromon is in here because he has the nice inheritable ability of being a DP booster, and that's just a generally good thing to have, so that way we could either attack into the opponent's Digimon and win those trades, or when we attack their security, we're not necessarily afraid of losing our Digimon due to the security checks. Next, I'm running 2 copies of Agumon. So Agumon is our Tamer Digger, where if we play him from our hand, then we get to check the top 5, add 1 Tamer into our hand, and then the rest go to the bottom. Next, I'm running 4 copies of Guilmon. So Guilmon is another DP booster, where while he's in the inheritable source and our opponent has 5 or more cards in their trash, then he's going to be getting plus 1000 DP. Next, I'm running 4 copies of Biyomon. So Biyomon from the starter deck is just a value vanilla. There's really not much else to it. Then the last rookie of the deck is going to be 4 copies of Agumon from the starter deck. This is just another DP booster. Next, I'm going to be running 4 copies of DarkTyrannomon, solely for the fact that it has a very, very cheap Digivolution cost, so that way it's efficient to go into our next level. Next, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Coredramon, because Coredramon is just the blocker of the deck. There's not really much else to it. And then I'm going to be running 4 copies of Starter Deck Greymon, because Starter Deck Greymon has a great inheritable effect where he gives Security Tech +1, so that way we could deal more damage a lot faster. Next, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Groundramon. So Groundramon is in here, similar to why DarkTyrannomon's in here. It has a very, very low evolution cost for its level, so it helps us level up that much more efficiently. Next, I'm going to be running 2 copies of Garudamon, because Garudamon has this nice inheritable effect where during our turn, if this Digimon gets blocked, then we get to draw a card, and we could use this to get some great value out of Gallantmon, even when Gallantmon is blocked. On top of which, it also has the piercing ability innately, but we're not going to be really wanting to attack with it unless we really feel comfortable with the attack, thanks to all of our DP boosters. Then the last ultimate of the deck is going to be 2 copies of Skullgreymon. So Skullgreymon is in here because he is our anti-blocker hate card, where when we play him, we get to delete one of our opponent's Digimon with blocker. Next, I'm going to be running 1 copy of Volcanicdramon, because Volcanicdramon is still just a very, very good card on its own. It has Security Attack 1 innately, so it could be dealing lots of damage potentially. And then it also has a nice on-play ability, where we get to delete all of the opponent's Digimon with 4000 DP or less to basically board wipe all of their small Digimon. Next, I'm going to be running 4 copies of the main man here, Gallantmon. So Gallantmon has 2 really good abilities. The first one is when Digivolved, if you have a red Tamer, you get to delete one of the opponent's Digimon with 6000 or less DP. So he has the ability to potentially clear off one of the opponent's Digimon, which is pretty good. The only restriction is we need to have a red Tamer, which is why having Agumon is great, because we need to find our Tamers, so we could use this ability. On top of which, he has a nice when attacking ability where we get to trash one of our opponent's security for every 10 cards in their trash. So if we really try to remove a lot of their cards and build up their trash, then we could use Gallantmon to deal some extra damage. This ability goes off even when he is blocked, so even if he's blocked, then he's still going to be dealing some damage as long as they have a lot of cards in their trash. So overall, Gallantmon is just a very fantastic Digimon. Next, I'm going to be running 2 copies of Omnimon, because Omnimon is just a very, very powerful card. So he has 2 big abilities. His first one, when you Digivolve into him, you get to choose one of the opponent's Digimon and then delete all of the opponent's Digimon that share the same name with it. So at worst, you're removing 1 Digimon. At best, you're removing a whole bunch more. And then he has a nice when attacking ability, where you get to unsuspend this card by returning 1 level 6 Digimon from its inheritable sources to your hand. So you could potentially use it to attack another time, and if you have Gallantmon or Volcanicdramon set up, then both of them are very, very good to replay. Next up, onto the options, I'm running 2 copies of Gravity Crush. So Gravity Crush is a pretty interesting card because we get to basically borrow 2 memory, and then at the end of the turn we have to give the 2 memory we borrowed back. But the fact that we could still use it to set up a lot of our plays and accelerate ourselves definitely makes Gravity Crush a card worth playing. Then the last option card of the deck is going to be 3 copies of Terra Force. So Terra Force is just the hard removal option of the deck, where we get to delete one of our opponent's Digimon, and then its security effect is activating its main effect to delete one of the opponent's Digimon. So overall, fantastic removal card. Next, onto the Tamers, I'm running 3 copies of Tai Kamiya. So this version of Tai Kamiya is our memory fixer, where if our memory is 2 or less, we get to set it to 3. And then he has the nice ability where all of our red Digimon with 4 or more Digivolution sources gains security attack +1. So this just helps us deal more damage if we have a fully Digivolved Digimon. And then the last tamer is going to be Tai Kamiya from the starter deck, and this is just a very simple tamer where all of our Digimon get +1000 DP. So this is just another more neutral DP booster for the deck. But he's really in here just to make sure that we see a tamer for Gallantmon, and this is a really cheap tamer to play. In terms of other cards that you could think about playing in the deck, you could play Groundramon, because Groundramon has a nice when Digivolved ability. If we have a red tamer, then we get to delete one of the opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less. So just more removal when we Digivolve up into him. And then he has a nice inheritable effect where while the opponent has 5 or more cards in their trash, then we get +1000 DP for it. So just another DP booster with some removal attached. You could also think about running Growlmon, because Growlmon has this nice when attacking skill where we get to delete one of the opponent's Digimon with 2000 or less DP. So just some removal on attack. Yes, it's for the small things, but sometimes you need to clear those small things. As far as an alternate or complementary mega, you could also run Greymon. So Greymon has a nice when Digivolved ability where this Digimon gets +1 security tech, so that's not bad. And then he has a nice ability where during your turn, this Digimon doesn't activate the security skills of option cards. So if we're attacking our opponent's security with it, then they don't get the security effects off of their option cards, and that's just pretty good. As far as another option you could run Shield of the Just, where we get to delete one of the opponent's Digimon with 5000 or less DP, and then if we have a red tamer, we get to delete one that is 8000 or less instead. So just more removal options, and then its security effect is activating its main effect, so it's just a pretty good card overall. You could also think about running Monodramon, because this is just another value vanilla rookie. Can't go wrong with value vanilla rookies. And then if you really wanted to, you could also think about running Metal Greymon from the starter deck, because he has a nice inheritable ability where during your turn, when this Digimon is blocked, we gain +3 memory. Personally, I like Garudamon over Metal Greymon, but they're basically doing some very similar things where they're rewarding you for being blocked and incentivizing the opponent to block. So for the most part, that's just the deck. It's a pretty interesting deck, and it is definitely looking like it's going to be a pretty solid deck out of the gates, and it still has plenty of decent options and tools and flexibility that you could use to really get the most out of the card. So that's kind of all I really have for this video. As always, I'll have the deck listed down in the description below, and feel free to tell me your thoughts down in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I will see you in the next video.